Marcos was losing every battle in life. He didn't know that in 40 days he would discover the difference between just winning and being more than a conqueror. This is the story of a man who seemed to be losing everything, but was actually gaining something much greater. And if you feel like you're losing in life, this story will forever change how you see your battles. I need to ask you something before I tell you Marcos' story. Have you ever had the feeling that even when you win, you're still losing something, that life is a constant struggle and you're always chasing after something? Marcos knew that feeling well. At 35 years old, he had achieved everything he had always dreamed of: his own house, a new car, a prosperous business, a beautiful family. But inside, he felt empty, as if something was always missing. And when problems came all at once, Marcos discovered he had been fighting the wrong battles. Marcos was always competitive. Since childhood, he wanted to be the best at everything. In school, he got the best grades. At work, he was the most dedicated employee. When he opened his business, he worked 16 hours a day to be number one. Marcos won, but was never satisfied. There was always a next goal, a next challenge, a next achievement. He thought, when I achieve this, then I'll be happy. But happiness was always in the next victory, until in 1 week, all the battles Marcos was winning turned against him. Monday, his biggest client cancelled the contract. Friday, the company was bankrupt. That same month, his wife asked for divorce. She said he only thought about work and had forgotten about the family. In 2 months, Marcos lost the company, the house, the car, and was living at his mother's house. At 35 years old, he felt like a complete failure. But the worst part wasn't losing things. The worst part was discovering that even when he had everything, he felt like a loser inside. One night, Marcos was in his mother's backyard, looking at the stars and questioning himself. Where did I go wrong? I was winning at everything, but why do I feel defeated? That's when his mother came out and sat beside him. Son, she said, you always fought to be a winner, but you never fought to be more than a conqueror. What do you mean, Mom? A winner is someone who wins the battle. More than a conqueror is someone who understands that true victory isn't in what you achieve, but in who you become in the process. His mother continued, the Bible says, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. Do you know why? Because even when we lose on earth, we win in heaven. Even when things go badly, our soul is well. That night, Marcos understood something that changed his life. He had spent 35 years fighting to be a winner in the wrong things. He fought to have more money, more success, more recognition. But he didn't fight to have more love, more peace, more purpose. Marcos decided to start over, but this time it would be different. Instead of fighting to have more, he would fight to be more. Instead of competing with others, he would compete with himself to be a better person. Instead of measuring victory by what he gained, he would measure it by what he became. In 6 months, Marcos' life was completely different. Not because he had recovered everything he lost, but because he had found something he had never had: inner peace. Marcos got a simple job, but one that gave him time for family. He rented a small house, but one that was full of love. His ex-wife noticed the change, and they started dating again. The children said they preferred the new daddy to the rich daddy. A year later, Marcos opened a new business, but this time, the goal wasn't just to make money. It was to generate jobs, help families, make a difference in the community. The business grew, but Marcos never again worked 16 hours a day. He had learned that true victory is having time for what really matters. Today, Marcos always says, "Before I was a winner, but I lived losing. Now I am more than a conqueror, even when things don't go as I expect, because true victory is inside me, not in circumstances." Marcos' story reminds me of something the Apostle Paul wrote 2,000 years ago. Paul also knew what it was like to lose everything. He had been a powerful, respected rich man, but when he met Jesus, he lost everything: position, money, friends, status. But Paul discovered something revolutionary. He wrote, "No, in all these things, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us." Romans 8:37. Paul understood that being more than a conqueror doesn't mean winning every battle. It means that even when you lose on earth, you win in heaven. Even when circumstances are against you, God's love is with you. Even when everything goes wrong, your soul can be well. Today, as you listen to me, maybe you're going through difficult battles. Maybe you feel like you're losing in life: work, relationships, health, money. Maybe, like Marcos, you've discovered that even when winning, you feel like a loser inside. But I want you to understand something that Marcos and Paul discovered. You don't need to win every battle to be more than a conqueror. You don't need to have everything to be complete. You don't need to always win to be loved by God. Being more than a conqueror is knowing that, regardless of what happens, you are unconditionally loved. It's understanding that true victory isn't in what you have, but in who you are. It's discovering that even in defeat, you can come out stronger, wiser, more full of love. Stop fighting to be just a winner. Start living as more than a conqueror, because through him who loved you, you've already won the most important battle, the battle for your worth, your purpose, your eternity. And if this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who needs to discover they are more than a conqueror. Sometimes a person just needs to remember that true victory is already guaranteed. Until the next video, remember, you are more than a conqueror through him who loved you. It doesn't matter the outcome of the battles. You've already won where it really matters. Leave in the comments, in what area of life do you need to stop fighting to be a winner and start living as more than a conqueror? Let's remind each other that our victory is already guaranteed.